Hello and welcome to this Forex Preview at xm.com. I'm Maria Pachardis, and joining me is investment analyst Marios Hadjikyriacos. We'll be discussing the upcoming U.S. employment report and the outlook for the dollar. So Marios, we'll get the U.S. non-farm payrolls report for April on Friday. Now, forecasts suggest the unemployment rate is close to 16%, which is its highest level since World War II. How is this data likely to affect markets?
Hello, Maria. Well, indeed, the forecasts suggest that the US economy probably lost almost 22 million jobs during April, and that would push the unemployment rate up to 16%. All this sounds really bad, but what I want to stress is that the unemployment rate today is probably even higher than that. So this employment survey was conducted in the second week of April. So in the last 2 weeks since then, we've seen initial jobless claims remain alarmingly high, which means that even more jobs were lost, which means that next month's employment report will probably be a horror story as well. Now, how are these data likely to affect the markets? I don't think we're going to see any major reaction. So obviously, this is NFP we're talking about. It's probably the biggest indicator in the markets. But in recent weeks, we've seen markets not really caring about economic data. So the markets didn't really react when, weekly jobless claims showed millions and millions of Americans being laid off. They didn't react when US GDP for Q1 disappointed. And the whole notion right now is that everyone knows that upcoming data will be a bloodbath. So they're discounting it. Everyone expects the bad news, and therefore there's no little market reaction. That could be the case this time as well. But at some point, pretty soon, in my opinion, data will begin to matter again. And that will happen when the lockdowns are lifted and investors start to focus on which economies are starting to recover first.
Okay, now regarding the dollar, it has been acting like a safe haven amid the crisis. What can we expect in the near term?
I'm still an optimist on the dollar. I'm not envisioning any major rally, but I think that the reserve currency could edge slightly higher from here. And the reasoning is pretty simple. The Fed has already done almost everything it can to weaken the dollar, and yet the reserve currency remains very strong. And that, in my opinion, has to do with a lack of alternatives. So the euro, for example, is very ugly. The eurozone has enormous institutional problems that will probably exacerbate this crisis. So I think that the dollar could outperform the euro going forward, but perhaps underperform something like the yen, which is even more of a safe haven than the dollar is.
Marios, thanks so much. And thanks for joining us at xm.com.